This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, but longing for Toronto because my background is Toronto, and Toronto I'm always going to consider my home ever since introduced to it by the lovely Lisa Langlois. But you know what, folks? Here we are on January the 25th, 2024, and I have a return guest because back in 2020 I had this guy on. He was one of the 30 guests I had on before lockdown. And that was back when I was doing them by phone at the station, but one of my other guests, Nancy McLaughlin from Friday the 13th Part 6 Jason Lives, introduced me to Zoom, and this is so much more convenient and so much nicer. I could just do it from the comfort of my apartment and fake that I'm in Toronto. But folks, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of a film I've seen, I'd say, four times in the theater when it came out. I'm a big fan of the teen movie genre. Back in the 80s, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Risky Business, 16 Candles, Valley Girl, you name it. Well, 2004, I have another one to add to the list. Mean Girls on Blu-ray here. I'm holding up here, and I have Coach Carr himself on, Mr. Dwayne Hill. How do you do, Dwayne?
Great to see you again, my friend. I'm excellent. I'm excellent. I'm in New York. It's pretty mild here, which is
Yeah.
we got our first snowfall in 3 years yesterday or 2 days ago or something. So a little
Did
bit of winter.
did you get how do you say her name? Trampek to come on there down there and shovel it up for you?
I'm still friends with her. I'm still friends with her.
Are you?
Yeah, her name is
You
Keith.
should connect me. I've never had her on here. You and Julia Chandry, who was the girl that made it with the hot dog, are the only two I've had on here from it.
Oh yeah. I don't know if she might. She doesn't do acting anymore. I think her Instagram handle is Yoga Kiki. She does yoga, like KYKY. It's
Okay.
Miss Key Fam. But I know she's married, so it may not be Key Fam. It might be her husband's last name now. But anyway, she's a great person. She looks exactly the same. I'll send you the link, the Instagram link
Sure.
that I have for her. And I
Sure.
mean, she doesn't, she might do a thing. Why not?
Yeah. Well, look what I have on.
Oh wow. And yeah, oh wow. I
I got
love it.
two shirts too. I got another one that's got Rachel McAdams on, and it says, "Is butter a carb?" But
Now, this isn't my interview of you, but have you seen the new movie?
I have. I To me, this is an A+ movie. You
Hmm.
know, the new one to me would probably be about a C. I
Mm.
like the direction they went with it, making it a musical, because then because people hate it when you remake, but musical, that's a different spin for me. There was some pros and some cons. Um, I think that Renee Rapp, who was the new Regina George, was phenomenal. I think she did a great job, and to fill in for Rachel McAdams is no small thing, and she was the best performance in the movie. Um, I'm going to butcher her name. I think it's Gori Rice. My apologies if I butchered her name. Was the new Katie Herring, and she looked the part, and her performance wasn't bad. She certainly gave off the Lindsay Lohan vibes, but I found myself just I thinking about Lindsay Lohan a lot during the movie. And
Yeah.
yep. Whereas with Renee Rapp, of course, you're thinking about Rachel McAdams, but she was able to elevate herself to make it her own. And I love that. Um, but I there was a lot of things in the movie I changes I didn't agree with. It was nice to see Tina Fey and Tim Meadows in there, you know, and Lindsay Lohan did make a cameo.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, the mathletes instructor. So
Wow.
yeah, she got a nice pop in the theater whenever she appeared too. So there's people out there that still love Lindsay. I've always loved Lindsay Lohan. I hope that she can ring her back in and maybe get another shot at um acting again. I know she's still acting, but uh she was at the height when she did Mean Girls, and you
She was
know.
hot, and she was going from, the thing is, this is just my opinion, but she was doing movie after movie after movie. She had, the teenage drama queen and not Parenthood, but the one where she plays twins,
Parent Trap, yeah.
Parent Trap, and uh, she was doing back to back to back movies. And by the time she hit Mean Girls, she was really, like acting, it even if you have not a natural talent, it's a muscle. You have to keep it in shape. Like William H. Macy and John Cusack are part of theater troupes, and when they're not filming a movie, they do plays, they do stage, they do table reads. They keep that muscle very, very in shape. And I think the problem is that when you're with in her situation is when you're like, you get swept up in sort of the the hype, and you end up sort of partying more than working, and then all of a sudden it's been 5 years since you've done a movie because you know what I mean. So I think that's probably one of the problems is that it's a muscle she hasn't really exercised. Like I feel like, listen, this isn't all about Lindsay Lohan, but if I
Hmm.
was her agent, I would say, let's get you in a play on Broadway. Let's get you doing whatever, I don't know, whatever, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And
Hmm.
then that shows that you have discipline, you can memorize 2 hours of dialogue, you work well with others, you can do live performances every night, you're willing to put in the work. And a lot of actresses and actors rehabilitate their careers that are considered notoriously difficult because they'll do a play on Broadway and say, I'm willing to commit. Edie Falco, when I first moved to New York, she
Hmm.
came off of Sopranos, and she's a very, very talented actress. But at the time, I'm just guessing, but probably maybe 40 years old. And now she's no longer working on a show, and she's competing with other 40-year-old actresses. So she ends up doing a very difficult play on Broadway. And because she was so good in it and so well received, and she's so talented, that's what helped get her Nurse Jackie. So that kind of it sort of restarted her career or kicked her into the next mode. So anyway, I think Lindsay can do that. I'm not her business manager, but
Oh, I think Lindsay's immensely talented. I've always liked her, and for me, she's always gonna be Katie Herring, you know. So she was great. She was stunning in that movie. I gotta say, she never looked better than what she did in this movie. Even when she's made down, she looked great, you know. So but
that was one of the problems they kind of had behind the scenes was that if I remember correctly, like this is all just paraphrasing. So, but one of the things was is that she was supposed to be a really kind of plain girl that sort
yeah,
of
good luck with that.
gets a little prettier, but when she showed up on the set, she sort of had this very voluptuous body, and they tried to play it down, but eventually they just were like, uh, you know, and I mean it works. There's no
Hmm.
negatives, but she certainly was not plain.
No, she certainly wasn't.
So
And
how was John Hamm? I haven't seen the new one. How because he played
you
me,
know,
right?
I was going to bring that up, and I think he was extremely underused. They had him in like one scene, and you could see with the humor there, but you can also see it there. Here's the problem I found. Um, he wasn't given what you were given, and I think they were trying to avoid the whole uh predatory
Predator
elements
teacher.
of Coach Carr. And I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. Number one, I don't know whether John Hamm was friends with Tina Fey and did this as a favor or something. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But extremely underused in what could have been an interesting comic turn for him in this movie. And he he was fine in the one scene he's in, but
Sorry,
he wasn't
my
given
note
the
on.
kind of stuff you were given.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen it. I saw him, you know. I my thing is, yeah, I my whole thing is he just seemed a little, and this is not his fault, but he seemed a little handsome for the part, you know, like I'm, you know, not a traditionally handsome man. And like when I saw him, I was like, oh God, he looks like a model. He looks like he's modeling this outfit. Like he can't help it that he's just a handsome
Mhm.
guy. Like but that was, you know, you know, it was, I was, you know, honored that he did it, but I certainly didn't take it personally. Um,
Yeah, but
but
I'm
yeah,
wondering why they didn't bring you back. Like seriously.
well, you know, there's a book from Mean Girls that just came out like this month. I can't remember who wrote it. And I was interviewed for the book, and she, you know, they asked me like all these questions, and one of the ones that they, you know, one of the things they said was, you know, how'd you get this part? And I said, I got this part basically because nobody on SNL wanted to do it, you know, because this is a part that's an easy one for, at the time, a Will Ferrell or Horatio Sands or, you know, like any of these guys. If they said, you know, we're in Toronto, can you come up for 72 hours and just shoot these 4 scenes or whatever it was? If those guys were available, I would not be in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, so it is a kind of a dis disposable character for a little celeb cameo walk on. And so I don't know the history. I don't know if other people just said no, but that's how I think that's how I inadvertently got it, was that nobody really did it except me. Um, so yeah, so I feel very, very lucky, but I don't think it would have happened if anybody had said, if anybody had said yes, anybody with a slight shred of fame.
Yeah, but you know what? You still knocked it out of the park. I
Thankfully.
mean, look, I reached out to have you on the show. Obviously, you made an impression on me. Come on.
I
Like you,
remember, yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
like even like Julia Chandry, who played the hot dog girl, like they don't have that character at all in the musical, you know? I mean, but I mean, I remember her telling me that that she still gets recognized for that part.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing. I get
yeah.
recognized occasionally, but I don't look the same. And but but that's really wild. I mean, like I said, Key, who played Trang Pak, she looks exactly the same. But she was like 30 years old when she did that movie. You know that, right? Like she wasn't 18 or
And
whatever it
now
was.
she's
30.
39.
Is she?
As
I think
far
she
as I'm concerned, she's 39. I'm not going to tell her otherwise. She looked
perfect.
feisty.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think she's pretty feisty.
Yeah, to me, as far as she's concerned, I'll say she's 39.
I love it.
Yep.
And if you do come to New York for any cons or anything like that, let me know. We'll definitely hang out or grab a coffee or whatever.
Oh, I would love to. I'd love to. Yeah, I've never been to the States yet. Lisa got me hooked up on that. She's one of her fellow Canadian actors, and you know, I usually when I go to Toronto, I always connect with Lisa. So I try to get there about a couple times a year. I'd love to get moved there. You know, I had a job lined up at the Toronto General Hospital, and I could probably get it if I got moved there, but that's a problem with the inflation and everything like that. I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, like I didn't think know it was going to be that difficult. You know,
Yeah,
it's
housing is a bit of a problem in Toronto. It's, you know, been going up in price for over 20 years, and that's crazy, and that's unfortunate. It really is. I feel like inflation is going to subside this year. I'm just an optimist, but I live
well,
in New York too, which is like I think the most expensive city in North America now.
oh
So
wow.
I, you know,
Well, one of the things I'm hoping happens, and I don't want to get political on here, but I'm hoping that we get a new prime minister, and I'm hoping that Poilievre Pierre Poilievre does exactly what he promised to do,
Mm.
and he's looking good in the polls right now. You can't get much worse than the guy in charge right now. Not that I want to get into that, but it's like, yeah,
I don't follow I really don't follow Canadian politics anymore. Yeah, I know that also when usually in parliamentary systems, once you've done 3 terms, the people just pick the next one. You know, they no matter how they go into they want something fresh, and I get it.
well, they can't pick any faster than getting the guy in out. But but nonetheless, I heard politics is bad even in the states. So I mean, something's gonna happen because people got to live, you know. And
Yeah. Well, yeah.
yeah,
I'm in New York, which is a very a lot of there's a lot of it's an interesting town for that sort of stuff because
yes, absolutely.
all the
Um,
Donald Trump, two of Donald Trump's trials are right are a half a mile from my apartment.
oh my goodness, you think he's gonna get back in?
I I'm not a psychic. I don't know. I know that in this town, there's he's not a very liked person in this town. So he lived here his whole life. So did his dad, and they didn't make any friends. But you never know. He lost by 3 million, then lost by 8 million. But it's the electoral college, and I don't know. I I I can personally say I wouldn't vote for somebody who has 4 criminal indictments. I just wouldn't. But it's like even if you think, okay, all of them, it's like that's a lot. But anyway, I mean, politically, all politics aside, I'm very Canadian. I want to take care of everybody. I want people to have health care, and I want people to be happy. So I
Yeah.
like people.
I suppose, have you heard that our prime minister had a Nazi applauded in the Common House?
A Nazi what?
Standing ovation in the Common House. He didn't know the guy was a Nazi.
Oh dear. Well, there you go. Well, that's unfortunate. I will say this, yeah, coming from America, there's all the Nazis here vote for one guy. There's one guy that they just love, and they
Yeah, I
hope he
bet.
makes it very great. I always say
Hmm.
they say like not everybody that votes for Trump is a racist, but all racists vote for Trump. So I don't know. Um, but anyway, uh, back to the movie. I'm trying to think if I know any other juicy stories from the original Mean Girls.
Well, let's go say, here we are. I can't believe it's been 20 years since that movie. Like I said, I saw that more than once in the theater. And even when the pandemic hit, when the theaters were slowly opening up, they were playing some older movies at select times at theater, and one of them was Mean Girls. So I dropped in, got to see it again, and
Oh
I guess
wow,
yeah, I think I've seen I think it 4 times in the theater in total for Mean Girls, and I love the movie, fell right in love with it, and but I mean, I can't believe it's been 20 years since that
that's so
movie
wild.
came out. Like, where'd the time go, you
We
know?
got it in the summer of like 2003, I think, or something, or 2004.
2004 it was released, I think, in April, I think.
Yeah, that
So,
was. And I love that director. I don't know if he's still around anymore, but he was such a great director.
Well, yeah, Mark Waters.
Mark Waters. Yeah, he did
Yeah.
House of Yes. He did, and then yeah, he was good. He was smart.
Well, he
I don't
certainly was with this one too.
And he
There's
gave
a
us all a rap gift, and it was a CD. I gotta find it. It was a CD of all the songs he was listening to and would think about as he was shooting the movie. So
mhm.
this was not the playlist of the movie. This is a crew gift from the director of the songs that inspired him. So it's kind of interesting.
Oh wow.
If I can track it down, I'll get in touch with you and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, well, they definitely had a good soundtrack to this movie, you know. Do you get recognized playing Coach Carr?
Not much. The last time I got recognized, I usually get recognized by other actors.
Okay.
So one of the guys from Queer Eye for the straight guys, he was Carson Kressley, I think, and he's
Okay.
great. And he recognized me at a party in New York, and this girl who's on The Walking Dead, her name's Angel. I just met her at a party a few weeks ago, and she's like, Coach Carr. And I went, oh my God, you're good. And she's like, I am good. So yeah, sometimes, and I'm happy to, I love, I'm happy to tell people not to have sex. Don't have sex, or you'll get pregnant and you will die.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love that. You had some great lines in this film, you know. Was that all in the script or did you improvise any of that?
The script is great. Tina Fey is so good. The only stuff I improvised was, I mean, I've only seen the film once, um, but and I watched it like 10 years ago. I didn't actually see it when it came out. I was
Why
with
not?
my girlfriend at the time. I went to go see it with my girlfriend at the time, uh, and she hated it, and we had walked out. She's like, I can't stand this movie, so we left after 20 minutes. I was like, okay,
Oh wow. Did you
yeah.
I hope you broke up with her.
Well, we did eventually
They
break up.
break up.
And she became quite a successful actress, actually.
Oh,
She was on Schitt's Creek.
oh, gee. I like
Uh,
that show.
it's a great show, and she's on another one that's like the biggest show on Netflix right now that you've never heard of, like Georgina and George or something like that. It's one of the highest rated shows on Netflix, and it's like this family drama that's been on for 2 or 3 seasons, and it's just huge. Anyway,
She didn't like Mean Girls.
well, I don't know. I don't. Again, I've only seen it once. I thought it was when I watched it in its entirety. I thought it was great. I thought everyone was very fun and funny, and I
I
thought it was
think
really
so.
funny how when they killed that girl, you're like, she gets hit by a bus or whatever.
Yeah, but she didn't die.
Oh, she didn't. Oh, right. She doesn't. Like, oh,
No, she
they break
didn't.
every bone in her body. Yeah.
Yeah. But nonetheless, there was some interesting stuff that did come over on the musical end. Like I thought it was interesting when Katie Herring is embarrassed at the Halloween party, she comes back and this happened in the movie and it happened in the musical. You know, the two characters are watching Friday the 13th Part 2. And what I find interesting is in both movies, I get the same scene playing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
Little Easter egg.
that was an interesting little Easter egg there. They did that the same. But one of the things I loved in the original film that didn't translate over to the musical was all the various characters that aren't exactly three-dimensional, but they all have a presence, all talking to the camera and giving their opinion, like on-screen Twitter, you know. And
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
and I loved all that, you know. So
I saw the play, which is the musicals based on the play,
uh-huh.
and I thought they handled it really well because I was like, yeah, when the movie came out, there was no Twitter, no Instagram, right? There was no
Hmm.
Facebook. And then they had to make this new version with all those elements incorporated. And they did a really good job. Like I thought it was really smart. And actually, when I went to go see the play, and uh, this is quite interesting. So I got a call from my agent in New York. I don't know if I told you this last time, but because I'm a voiceover guy now, and I
Hmm.
was asked to do the voice for the play for the Broadway musical, like this summer, Mean Girls on Broadway. Bring the whole family. It's a laugh riot. Mean Girls the musical. That kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I said, oh, that's so cool. I did an audition for it, and they said, no, I don't know if this is true. My agent said that Tina Fey apparently requested me for it, or somebody in her camp, and I don't know if it's true. I like to think it is because she's so awesome, but who knows? But I did voice it, and that was my last connection to Mean Girls, was voicing the Broadway play.
Well, outside tried. Tran Pack. Um, I probably butchered that. But is there any other of the cast that you've been connected with since then?
No, I don't live in Toronto anymore. Daniel Francese, I was like friends with. Daniel Francese, the guy who's hit in the face with the thing. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. I mean, you know what? I loved the cast when I was on the film. I thought they were all so talented and so great. But I don't really do on camera anymore. I don't really live in New York.
Okay.
But I have nothing but fond memories, and it was actually a very fun shoot. Mark knows how to have a how to make a good set. It was really really fun. So no complaints from me at all, except that I was there for weeks and I'm on screen in the final film for about 45 seconds or something. So
Yeah, but you steal your moments, so that's every time you're on screen is great, you know. It's like I don't know how Coach Carr got to be a phys ed teacher and teaching health because he seemed to be completely bewildered when it come to any of that stuff.
actually, it's funny. You know, I actually my old high school was in Port Credit, which is in Mississauga, which is the city next to Toronto.
Hmm.
My high school gym coach, his name was Peter Martin, and he played for the Toronto Argonauts. I think he won a Grey Cup in like 1966 or 65 with the
Okay.
Argonauts, and then became a phys ed teacher at Port Credit Secondary School in Port Credit, which is in Mississauga. And so he taught me sex ed when I was in grade 9. And he clearly did not want to teach sex ed. So my character is based on him because he'd be like, he always chewed gum. He'd be like, okay, today we're going to talk about the clitoris. Do not laugh. That's enough. All right, the clitoris, please don't laugh. And and that's what Coach Carr's like, okay, just don't have sex, okay? Everybody take some rubbers. That was that's Pete Martin. And somebody just posted an article about him. He's still alive. He's in his probably late 70s now, and he was my inspiration. Pete Martin. It was the first time I'd ever actually said it. I commented on this Facebook post that he was my inspiration, and then now I'm telling you, but he was
Did,
the.
did did he say anything about that?
Oh, I wasn't. It was an article on like a Port Credit Secondary School reunion page where they posted this article about Pete Martin. I'm sure he doesn't have Facebook, or maybe he does, but uh, I just commented and said, "Oh, I played a coach in a movie called Mean Girls, and I based it on Pete Martin." So he has a legacy that he doesn't even know about.
There you go. There you go. Well, what we should talk about some of the cast here. What were your memories of Lindsay Lohan on set?
Um, well, she was great to work with for sure. I think it was a very chaotic time in her life, right? Because she had both her parents, I think, are very kind of
Yeah.
high energy, kind of wacky individuals. So I think,
Hmm.
and I think she wasn't adopted. Like I think she's a bit, and also when you are a very good actor or actress, which I would not describe myself as one, uh, you have to be in touch with emotions, right? So you have to constantly have emotions ready to go, and so you can be an emotional person. Now she wasn't, but you can see that. So working with her on the set, for me personally, was great. But I was more closer with, or the guys I really liked were Janice. Is it
Oh,
Janice?
Lizzie Kaplan?
Yeah, she was so good. And the other guy, and he does. He's like her hair hides secrets, or whatever. Her hair is big, so he's like
Yeah, just like I got
that might be
that
Daniel
here.
Francis. Maybe I'm getting that one
Yep,
wrong.
that is. Yep.
So he does this thing now on YouTube, or he did it a couple of years ago, called "Shit Italian Moms Say," and it's so good. He's so funny. I love him. I think he's a brilliant guy. So those are the ones I worked with more. Like that scene, that opening scene, where Lindsay Lohan misses whatever sex ed class. Uh,
Uh-huh.
like so. that's a big scene, but she wasn't actually in that scene, right? So I didn't work with her that day. I didn't really work with her. Even the one where I said, I think it maybe I say Katie Heron, go see the front desk, and they cut to a shot of her. That wasn't her on the set. Like I saw her on the set. I don't think I actually had any scenes with her. I think my scenes were like with everyone else, you know,
Okay.
Trang Pak, Tim Meadows, all those people. So I wasn't super, I didn't work with her that much. I know that she had a bit of a, the leading guy and her kind of clashed, which happens sometimes on films, right?
Oh,
Because
wow.
yeah, well,
Jonathan Bennett. Yeah.
yeah, he was great, but he left soap operas to do that movie. He was a soap guy, a soap young guy, and I remember at the time he was doing. I just done a movie with Hilary Duff at the
I
same summer,
love Hillary Duff.
and she was very sweet. She was very sweet, a wonderful person. But I guess Lindsay Lohan didn't like her at the time. They're sort of in the same league, and I can see how there'd be a bit of a feud. But I remember he would like tape pictures of her in the makeup trailer to kind of tick off Lindsay. So they had a little bit of I don't know how bad it was, but they had a little bit of a rivalry.
I got something I'll go show you right here. So this is
I gotta
interesting.
grab something as well. 1 second, I'll be right back.
Here we are. So
Unfortunately, my schedule is a bit weird, so I have to leave in about by one.
there
Um,
we go.
let me see. Oh, I
Let me
can't see it.
see if I can
Move it
make
down,
this.
maybe. I can't see it. It's.
Oh my, is it gonna
Oh,
show up my background?
oh, I can't see. You got to send me a picture afterwards. Tell me what it is.
Oh, it's a picture of me with Hillary Duff at
Oh no.
coincidence.
Okay, hold still. Now move it a little bit, just one way or another. Up, down, maybe down a little bit. There you go. Oh yeah. Oh, that's amazing. When was that?
That was in 2006.
Oh wow. Yeah,
I
yeah. I
wonder if
worked
I
with you in
turn that
2000.
off if it'll do it. No.
No, it's fine, but I could see it. I could see it. Um,
Yeah.
oh wow, I worked with her, yeah, 2003. She was great. How'd you meet her?
It was at a concert, actually. She was performing, and I had backstage passes. And
Johnny VIP.
yeah, she was amazing to meet, you know. But
Yeah, and I mean, she was popular at that time.
hmm, yeah, I still see her on Facebook doing some stuff, So yeah, always liked her. But um, but anyway, uh, I was going to ask you about Tina Fey and Tim Meadows. You had mentioned memories of them.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I didn't know that much about Tina Fey before I did the movie. I wasn't really watching a lot of SNL at the time, but
Hmm.
after I finished the movie, I was like, this woman's incredible. Like, because she's in it. It was the only movie she'd ever written. Everyone loves it. It's so funny. Everybody gets their own little tiny little bit of fun. Like nobody dominates. I just thought it was amazing. So I personally was a huge fan and loved working with her. I mean, I would do it in a heartbeat if she wanted me to be on anything else. She hasn't asked, so it's okay. But I got to do that. And Tim Meadows, I mean, he's as nice as you think. Like he's just a very nice guy. Like he loves comedy, loves to laugh. I think he had an actual broken arm too on the set, so they had to work that into the film.
Oh, well, it worked in well. They even worked it into the musical.
And I will say this, I will say this. There's a scene where he says, "Step away from the underage girls" or something like that,
Yeah.
right? I remember being on the set that day and looking around because they hit a fire sprinkler, a fire alarm.
Hmm.
So the interesting thing is there's like 300 people on the set. I don't know, maybe 200 people, but it's hundreds, and at least 90% girls. And I'm like looking at I said to the director, I said, "Is it an all girls school?" He goes, "No." I go, "There's like no men in this. Like they're all women." And they hit the sprinklers, and everybody gets soaking wet, and they do a second take. So all the girls have to go back to hair and makeup, get their hair dried, get their wardrobe fully changed with a second identical wardrobe. They had to have like 3 sets of wardrobe or 4 for every person for every take they wanted to do hitting these sprinklers. And I was like,
Oh,
"Whoa,
wow.
crazy, right?"
Mhm.
And I think I'd run off by that point, so I didn't have to get wet. I was on the run. Some say I'm still running.
Probably.
The character is for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how much time you had, but I mean, I love the Mean Girls themselves, Rachel McAdam, Lacey Shiver, and Amanda Seyfried, all very different personalities. I think one of the most effective shots in the movie is where everybody's going chaotic in the hallways, and you just got Rachel McAdams as Virginia George just standing there with her arms crossed. Nobody is touching her.
Yeah, that's right. That's
I
right.
love that.
Establishing her
She's
dominance.
yeah, and I love that in the movie. Um, I don't know whether you had any uh, time with them, but if so,
I did not spend time with Rachel McAdams. I did. I don't think I've ever met her. My friend is actually very close with her, and she is beloved. Everybody loves her. You know, she's as nice to work with as you'd imagine. But I will say, and this is again, I don't know if this is a true story, but from what I understand, and this, you can Google this. I don't know if it's true, but Amanda Seyfried was supposed to play that part.
I heard that.
Yeah, and they switched them out because Rachel McAdams was just so much at the time was so much more talented. Amanda Seyfried is now, a star in her own right, and she's just amazing. Sorry, a second. Um, but at the time, uh, it was she replaced her, from what I understand. Like they switched them out, and so she ended up playing. I'm a mouse, duh.
Well, you
Exactly.
know what? I think Rachel McAdams will at some point in the future get an Academy Award because she went from Mean Girls to Sherlock Holmes. I have not seen The Notebook. It's not my kind of movie, but she's in that. She's in Spotlight, and just this past year, she was in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she
like
will. She's an incredibly talented person. Arguably, you know, the hardest part to play in Mean Girls, right?
yeah,
Because
what's interesting is with Mean Girls is we've seen movies like this countless times. But Mean Girls is an example of it where it's elevated and done well. It's not the tropes, it's elevating the tropes. And I've seen the Queen Bee in many movies before, but I haven't seen Rachel Like she takes Regina George and makes her into a three-dimensional character, where a lesser movie would have not have done that. So
Mhm.
there was a lot of great care go into this. The casting was fantastic, and so uh, so yeah. And I think it's interesting the cult following this film has now. Like I got 2 T-shirts of this movie and got the Blu-ray and I haven't seen any of the direct-to-video sequels. I just, you
Yeah, that
know,
one sequel. I think Tim Meadows is actually in the sequel.
well, it's kind of like with American Pie, they had Eugene Levy in a lot of the direct-to-video sequels, and that's all fine and good, but you almost get the sense that there's diminishing returns,
I'm
you
guessing.
know.
I'm guessing Eugene Levy's like, I'll do 72 hours, and I want this much money, and they get all his shots done in 72 hours, and he gets this much money, and he ends up, buying a boat or adding on to his cottage up north or whatever.
I
So
love
he
Eugene Levy.
wins. The audience wins. They got a Eugene Levy performance.
Yep, yep. But nonetheless, you're doing mainly voiceovers now.
I do voiceovers. I also write and produce television. I did
Hmm.
a series that was on Netflix that lasted for only one season. I have a new series coming out next year. The series on Netflix is called Northern Rescue, starring Billy Baldwin. And
Okay.
I'm happy to set up another call with you. Unfortunately, I'm a bit short for time today,
Hmm.
but I'm happy to set up another call as a follow up. But if you ever want to check out Northern Rescue, one of the things that was interesting is that Northern Rescue came out probably in 2019 or 2020, but Netflix had to release their numbers this year, and
Yeah.
as part of the SAG strike, and for 6 months of last year, four people watched 14 million hours of the show, and I was like, feels like a lot. But anyway, but of course the number one show was 1 billion hours, but I was still 14 million for a 3-year-old show that only lasted one season was kind of wow. Just seemed like a
Not
lot to me.
bad. Not bad. Well, I appreciate you coming on here today and on short notice and talk to me today. And
Pleasure.
it was a real pleasure. And yeah, 20 years, Mean Girls,
20
20th
years.
anniversary. Wow.
Pleasure
Wow.
talking to you as always, my friend, and best of luck with your surgery. Please let me know how it goes.
I will. I will. Thank you so much for coming on here. Before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Of course, 100%. What was you going to say?
Just state your name and that you played Coach Carr in Mean Girls, and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Hi, I'm Dwayne Hill, who played Coach Carr in Mean Girls. You're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise, and you made the right choice.
Thank you so much,
My pleasure.
Dwayne, and you have yourself a wonderful day. And as much as we like John Hamm,
We love him.
we love you as Coach Carr the
Like
best.
OG, brother.
I'll take you as Coach Carr. So there you go.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great one, brother.
God bless.
God bless.
Bye bye.